Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Steve from Harbor Marketing Agency. And in today's video, I want to show you an example of what a good brewery website looks like. So I'm going to show you Bake's Brewing Company. They're based out of Wall Township, New Jersey. We just finished building and launching their website. And the reason I want to show it to everybody is because I think it's a good example of just what a standard brewery website should look like. What you're going to find is that there are no crazy bells and whistles on the website. There's no like fancy animations or anything that is unattainable for the average brewery out there. What you will find is that it's just a clean design. It communicates the information that most customers are probably looking for, and it does a good job of just presenting the brand in a nice professional light. So I'm going to walk you through every page and kind of chat through our decision making process on why we put things where we put things and how we structured the information. The entire site was built on a platform called Webflow. That's just my preferred design platform. You don't have to use Webflow. This website could also be attainable on Squarespace or Wix or any of the other popular web building platforms. Again, there's nothing super fancy about it. So there's no reason that you can't build this on your preferred platform of choice. So with that said, I'm going to dive in and I'll show you the website. Okay, so this is the website. We're on the homepage right now, and I'm just going to dive right in. So first thing that you'll see on the homepage is we have this section here where uh, it's basically a picture of their, like the front of the building. It's a nice picture, it's nice lighting. The picture here visually communicates one, just what the building looks like as people are driving down the road. And two, it just kind of shows it in a nice light. It's a nice picture that communicates some value. It's like, hey, this is a cool place to hang out. There are plenty of pictures to choose from. I would recommend something that actually conveys value to the customer. So for example, I probably wouldn't do like brewing equipment or just like a table of like a blank bar or something like that. Like maybe you show off a picture of your flights and like what some of the beers look like. Maybe you show off a packed tap room, customers having a good time. Try to help people envision what their experience is going to look like in this background image here. The reason we went with this picture actually um, was due to some just limitations on the full availability of photos that we had. um, you need a horizontal, like a large image file that is horizontal in orientation here, and we didn't have many to go with. They have a lot of great imagery, but a lot of it is vertical. A lot of their beer shots are vertical, so you kind of have to work with what you have from a horizontal standpoint there. So this was the best photo that we had access to that was a horizontal orientation that we felt communicated value to the customer. So that's why we went with this. Next, you'll notice the headline here. So we have award-winning craft beer brewed fresh in Wall Township. Wall Township happens to be my hometown, so I know the area very well. I know that people from Wall Township generally are pretty proud to be from Wall Township and just that area in general. It's in New Jersey. It's the Jersey Shore. It's kind of like a little, cult-like audience in that area. This is also the only craft brewery in Wall Township. So people are very much about supporting local businesses. And so that's why we went with this headline. We wanted to tie in some of that local pride into the headline. So that's how we landed on that. Right underneath that, you'll see the address. So just plain and simple, let people know where it is. And then you'll see we have two call to action buttons: order beer to go, book a private event. So this is something that I think a lot of breweries miss. Like, what do you want your customers to do? Uh, for Bake's Brewing Company in particular, to go sales are very big for them. So we wanted a button right there, kind of in your face, right as you land on the homepage. That's just like, hey, if you're here to order beer to go, click this button. We're also trying to increase their private event bookings, so that's why private event was our secondary button that we decided to include here. So the whole point of this section here, you're communicating value right off the bat. You're telling people like what is the main thing that's important about your brewery. For them, it's award-winning craft beer and it's brewed in Wall Township. let people know how to find you. So address front and center, and then tell them what to do next. That's what the two call to action buttons are for. This already right here is so much better than a lot of brewery homepages that I see where it's just like a big logo and then there's nothing else. You need to immediately communicate value in this section of the homepage because this is what's called above the fold, meaning that this is the section of the homepage that people see before they have to scroll. So everybody is going to see that section. So you need to really squeeze the juice out of that section, make sure that you're communicating value and that people want to look at the rest of the site based on what they see here. So, next, before I scroll here, I will talk about the navigation. So, in the navigation here, what you'll see is that it's not super complicated. You know, we're not including like 57 different links, which I also see a lot of breweries do. You want to just think about like what are the couple main things that people might be interested in. You don't want to overdo this because a lot of people are like, oh well, you know, I'll just every link I'll include it in my navigation, and in a way that kind of defeats the purpose of having a navigation in the first place. The navigation should kind of categorize like the main topics of your website. It shouldn't be just a catch-all for every random link that you can think of. So for us, we have the homepage. We have an About Us section that's just their story. Tap list. A lot of people want to know what beers they have on tap, so we included that. Gift cards. This links their point of sale system is Square, so this links to their Square website where they can book gift cards. Event calendar. So this is like their weekly events. We have a private events page, a contact us page, and then again, the main button here is order beer to go. So you don't want to overdo this. You know, we don't want to include like 57 different links. The one caveat here that I will say that may differ for, you know, just depending on your brewery. Some breweries have multiple locations. Bakes has one location. So if you have multiple locations, what I would recommend doing is having one option that says, you know, tap room locations. That's a drop down that people can click on. And then in the drop down menu, you have a link to each individual location's landing page. So each tap room should have their own location and people can access those through a drop down in this navigation. The other thing that you can do if you want to have a um, find our beer page, you can include that as well if you have like something you embed on your website that, you know, uh, people can see like a map of all the places that you have accounts in and where you're distributed. You can include that here as well. But the whole point being, don't overdo your navigation. Keep it to like the main things people are interested in searching for. So moving on, I will scroll down here. And so the way that we try to structure the homepage, you kind of want to think of it as like what are the main questions that people have and what should I prioritize in order of just sequencing the information as they scroll. So a big question obviously for people coming to a brewery is what kind of beer do they have? So that's why as soon as you scroll here, that question gets answered. We have this section, fresh drops, always rotating, talks about the types of beer that they specialize in, but also mentions that they have a rotation of lagers and stouts as well. Bakes is very big on IPAs. And then this is something that we included that I feel like a lot of breweries just could do a better job of in general. Bakes does an awesome job of just getting really good photos of their beer. So photos of the can, photos of what the beer looks like in a glass, and like having those two in the same photo is helpful, as you can see here. Um, so this is just a little bit more impactful than just listing your beers and just having like, you know, written words on a screen. If people can actually see like what are the must try beers, you know, what are like the fan favorites, having that right on the homepage is super helpful. And then we have our call to action button of your current tap list. That links to the tap list page, of course. So then we scroll down. We have this section here of born and brewed at the Jersey Shore. So this is big for Bakes Brewing Company. This was something we discussed as we were starting work on the website. They wanted to be very intentional about not coming across as like this big corporate brewery or like, you know, like some kind of like private equity brewery or anything like that. They wanted to really communicate like, hey, Our founder was born and raised in Wall Township. This literally started in his garage. They're not just this massive faceless company. It's just a guy who really has a passion for making really good beer and followed his dream and started a brewery. So we wanted to communicate that. So showing the story, I think, is important. And uh, the takeaway there is, I think that's something that a lot of breweries need to tap into more is like the local storytelling behind their company. Um, a lot of them are kind of faceless, and there's no way for customers to emotionally connect to that. So if you can showcase, like, we're here to support the community. We are locals ourselves. Like, this is important to us. That matters, and I think that's a good thing to include on your homepage. Like, show kind of how you started the company. So this links to their full about us page. We have this section here, which is just a divider, just visually. You don't want, the entire homepage to just be all like white space. So having some kind of visual divider is helpful here. Um, this section here is for private events. So uh, another big takeaway here, we did not have good imagery of the tap room. I asked Jeff, the client, to have a photographer come out and take good photos of the tap room, and he was awesome about it. He did. Had a photographer come out super quickly. We got really good photos of the tap room. We are able to use them on the website. Now it looks awesome. Um, so having good photos, I can't, overstate that enough. It's so important, and this is definitely something you should prioritize as a brewery. Now people can scroll through and they can see all the different spaces that are available to rent out in your tap room. So they can click through and, like if you have a party size of 60 people, you can book the entire back. If you have, 200 people, you can book the whole building. If you just have 30 people, you can book just the front tasting room. So we kind of showcase all the options that people have. Um, we keep going here. We have this review section. Everybody looks for reviews before they go to a new restaurant, tap room, whatever. People are always looking at reviews. So for bakes, we wanted to include kind of the two main things that people might be looking for. Um, some of the reviews here feature or they talk about how nice the tap room is. Other reviews feature or talk about how great the beer is. Uh, Bakes does have a lot of local pull to it, so it's very much a local vibe. But they also have people that travel from out of state to try their beer. They have a lot of just craft beer lovers who are just like, they want to get their hands on really good craft beer. Bakes is known for that. So we wanted to have some reviews that speak to that. So think about like don't just include reviews on your website. Think about what information is important to your customers and hand select the reviews that convey the information that your customers are looking for. Frequently asked questions, we were sure to include that. Um, Frequently asked questions are very important to include on your website because they proactively address objections that your customers have. And if those go unanswered, so for example, if someone is wondering, can I bring my kids to the tap room? If that information is not conveyed on your website, 9 out of 10 people are not going to call your brewery and ask if they can bring their kids. They're just going to go somewhere else where they know they can bring their kids. So having that information on your website front and center for people to find those common questions that people ask is very important so that people know that they're welcome at your brewery, that they can bring their kids or they can or cannot bring their dog. Do you have food, whatever. uh, a frequently asked questions section is very important, and if you have multiple tap room locations, you can have a frequently asked question for each tap room landing page. Next, we have just follow us on Instagram, just kind of, showcasing some more beer photos here and like showing off their social. And then footer here, links to all the pages and then hours. Two other things I do want to just point out on this homepage. So what you'll notice is that there are a ton of call to actions on this homepage. We try to structure it so that no matter where you are on the screen, there's always a call to action button. So you scroll, call to action, scroll, two more call to actions, keep scrolling, call to action, keep scrolling, two more call to actions, keep scrolling, call to action, then there's call to actions in the footer. The reason that we do this is because basically the goal of every piece of your website is to get the customer one step closer to the sale. The sale in this case depends on what customer you're talking to, but or the customer that's visiting your site, but that sale could be ordering beer to go. That sale could be booking a private event, or that sale could be, booking a gift card or just physically walking into the tap room. So there's a saying in, website building and conversion rate optimization that basically says the path of least resistance to the sale always wins. So make it super easy for people to spend money with you. In order to make it easy for people to spend money with you, you need to tell them what the next logical step is to get to that purchase event. So call to actions are a way to do that. Always have a call to action button no matter where they are on the screen that they can click that will guide them to that next step of eventually purchasing something from you. So we try to be very intentional about that. Call to action buttons basically almost at every point on the screen. The next thing I do just want to call out is this is not on the website yet, but we will have a email pop up here. So there will be an email pop up that's going to have some kind of offer like $5 off your tab. It pops up maybe when they scroll 30% down on the page. They enter their email, then they're going to get a series of emails that gives them information on how they can redeem that offer and communicates more information about their beer and the tap room and why they should come and hang out. Okay, so I will move on to the rest of the website here. First, we'll move on to the About section. So this About section, nothing too crazy here. Just basically sharing the story of Bakes. You'll see more call to actions up here. And again, this is just to kind of like humanize the brand a little bit. Share the story, share that they're local, share that like this literally started in a garage and it's just an entrepreneur following his dream, pursuing his passion, making great beer, giving back to the community. This just kind of helps to build an emotional connection with the customer. If they can see like, oh, this guy grew up in Wall Township. He's just like me. I want to support, a local business. That's what this page does. Just tells the story a little bit, shows some of the early days and shows kind of what it's become. So I feel like a lot of breweries, their tap list page is basically just like, their untapped page embedded into their tap list page, or it's just like a written list of the beers that they have. I think that's a missed opportunity for a lot of breweries. You should aim to get really nice images of your beer. That goes a long way. So Bakes does an awesome job of this. We have two really good images up top, and then they scroll down. And, what people are looking for on a tap list page is like, what are the best beers? Like what are some beers that they're likely to like? What might they be excited to try when they go into the tap room? So Bakes does an awesome job of getting photography of their beers. And so again, like we want to feature like, hey, here are a few of our favorites. Circus Drive-In, Wreck Pond, Little Bakes, a little description of each beer, what kind of beer it is, the alcohol percentage. And actually, as I'm looking at this, I realize I need to add the type of beer and alcohol percentage to Wreck Pond. But you can see like it kind of tells the story about the beer a little bit, showcases what it looks like, what the can looks like. So that's important. Just give people recommendations so that way like they can look at that and be like, oh, I got to try that. That's really cool. And then, you don't have to do that for every beer. You can list your entire tap list. The purpose of this is just like people can scroll through, maybe they don't like IPAs. They can scroll through and they can be like, oh, okay, cool. They have some stouts. So scrolling back up here, next we'll go to the gift cards. So I want to show this because, again, I mentioned this site doesn't have like a lot of bells and whistles. And this is an example. And the reason that that's important for a lot of breweries who might be watching this is this is attainable for you as well. If you have a point of sale system like Square or Toast, your point of sale system probably gives you a gift card page. This just links right to the gift card page that your point of sale system gives you. So nothing crazy. That they use Square. You can just open that in a new tab. That's how you do gift cards on your website. Um, Event calendar, also nothing too crazy here. This is just, we have a way for them on the back end to just plug in events that are coming up. And this is in order of events that are closest to today's date. And then as you scroll down, it gets further and further out. So pretty straightforward here, but just a place for people to go and see, like, hey, here are the upcoming events. So, nothing groundbreaking there. Private events. This is a section that I think there are a lot of learning opportunities on. So, again, just I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but having good imagery of your tap room, very important. So you go to the private events page, rather than just having a form that people fill out and there's no other information on that page, show them your space. So we have it broken down where people can see all the different rooms that they can rent when they book a private event. And they can see, like, okay, how big is the party size that I can have in that room? What's the availability to rent it? They can look through that and see what the options are, scroll down, they can fill out the form. And then if they have even more questions, Bakes actually had this private event brochure. So we embedded that onto the website and they can scroll through and get even more information about each room and what the options are. So this is what I think like a, close to perfect private event page looks like. It's not too much information. It's not overbearing, but it does showcase the space. It gives them a visual of what they can expect. The form is pretty straightforward, and then they have this brochure here. You don't need the brochure. You could replace the brochure with an FAQ section, but the point is, give people a visual, make it easy to fill out the form, answer all their questions ahead of time if possible. And then finally, we have the contact form. Nothing too crazy here, all pretty straightforward. And order beer to go, again, is going to go to their Square page. So again, this isn't like a fully functional e-commerce website. We don't have all their beers uploaded to the site where they can go and order the beer right from the website, or like right from Webflow where we built it. It just links to the point of sale Square system that they have. So that's pretty much what that website looks like. Again, it's nothing too complicated, but it does just give off a nice, clean feel. It's easy to navigate. It conveys all the information that people are looking for. It visually communicates what the beers look like, what the tap room looks like, and it has call to action sprinkled everywhere that tell people what to do next. So every brewery can have a website like this. I think every brewery should. I think, fortunately, there are a lot of really bad brewery websites out there, and I want to make sure that there are less of them. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And if you're looking for help marketing your brewery and getting more customers into the tap room, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, harbormarketingagency.com. Book a call on our website. We'd love to chat. Thanks so much.